What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Tendo Show. We're back with another pre-tape podcast. We've got a few more pre-tape podcasts inside of ourselves that we've been wanting to get out before we get back to our live shows. Specifically this one, we're going to talk today about our experience going from posting daily videos for 2 years to now posting one video a week. And there is a whole lot that we have to say about it. So much so to the point that I'm a little bit nervous about doing it this soon. Because we're, a month and a week into posting weekly videos instead of daily videos?
Yeah.
I don't think we know 10% of what we're going to know after even just another month, much less 2 or 3. So,
oh, for sure.
Maybe this podcast particularly will end up being a 2-parter. So subscribe if you haven't already and turn those notifications on so when we talk about this kind of topic again, you can definitely be here. Now, before we get into it, Hannah and I have prepared a lot of thoughts about what we've learned. But before we get into it, I want to tell you why maybe you should watch this video, because you might have clicked on this because you think Tendo and Hannah are cool, but maybe this subject isn't for you. Well, I think as a YouTube consumer, there's a lot about the YouTube algorithm and about YouTubers that I think a lot of people just don't know, or they know kind of in the back of their head, but never really hear it said out loud. So we're one of, a very select few on YouTube who can say they've posted 700 days in a row. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's plenty of people out there who've done that,
Yeah.
but it's not a large number. So we're going to talk a lot about that experience. So if you just want to know a little bit more about YouTube, you might enjoy this, but also, if you are a regular consumer of our channel, I think there's a lot of things about us you might learn from this video and from this talk that you may not get out of our regular videos. So stick around. We're going to talk a bunch about YouTube and what we've learned now after 700 videos in a row, and then now switching to weekly videos. So Hannah, let's start with you. Just raw feelings, unfiltered. Tell us how you're feeling about our new posting schedule, and good, bad, ugly, just tell us all of it.
It's been weird. That's really my best adjective for it. Because, you get into a daily routine of things. You start to wake up in the morning knowing what your day is going to be like. And that used to be wake up, let's plan a video, go do the video, come home, and just do the rest of our stuff.
And then do it all again the next day.
Exactly. So we had this whole routine going of what we knew we needed to do every single day. And toward the end of our daily videos, it turned into, let's do a couple videos all in one day so that tomorrow we can do something else.
Yeah.
And
whether that be some content for another channel we've started, or whether it be resting. For
sure.
We had to do something else.
Yeah. So we've got a lot that we jam-packed into every single week. And 7 videos was one of those things.
8 there at the end.
Yeah.
with our live shows, if you want to count that.
For sure. So it was a lot. It was a lot to get done every single week. But now it's a little different because we still have that one video that we need to do, but it needs to be one video that is 7 times as good.
Yeah, I mean, at least that's what we've decided on.
Yeah. And so it turned into, okay, we have this big plan that we want to accomplish. It needs to happen around the beginning of the week, so you have time to edit. And then for the rest of the week, we need to do everything else that we need to do in order to prepare for the next week as well and get things done that we need to get done.
So our antique mall stuff, keeping ourselves alive, et cetera, et cetera.
My custom jeans that I make, and just general upkeep for reselling stuff.
Right.
So it's been an adjustment. It's only been about a month that we've done this, so it's been a little bit.
I think as we're shooting this, I think our 4th weekly video goes up tomorrow. Does that sound right, or is it 3?
I think so.
3 or 4. We don't know what's happening.
Well, I know we had the camping video. We had the Las Vegas video. There was one before the camping video.
It will be our 4th video. It'll be our 4th weekly video.
Correct.
Okay, we solved it.
So I feel like 4 weeks you would think is enough to get into a new routine and get used to it. but I don't feel like we have yet.
Let me just offer this up in the interest of complete transparency. We have no idea what we're doing.
Fair.
We really just don't. And I mean, in some regards, we do. I feel very capable of making our weekly video right now. I feel very confident in every edit, every cut of every edit for each video that we're working on right now for the next couple weeks. But outside of that, I don't know what to do with my life. I mean, on one hand, we have as much to do as we ever did.
Right.
I mean, the daily grind of posting a daily video is not to be sneezed at, but at the same time, we're definitely not spending as much time shooting.
Yeah.
That is one thing that has changed, and that has been nice. But I am actually spending more time editing.
For sure. Because
when we were doing daily videos, that grind required me to make sure that my routine allowed me enough time to edit, but also my routine demanded that editing not take very much time. So I got to where our daily videos took, when you talk to video editors, they often frame or price how much that edit's going to cost per minute. So if in my head every minute of footage takes an hour to edit, then, I can charge this amount of dollars for that. And I certainly have done professional projects in the past where, it takes hours per minute of finished footage. And certainly when I've shot films, it's
color grading, audio.
It's an hour of audio mixing per minute, an hour of cut, And so I ended up learning how to edit our daily videos in just a little bit more time than it would take to watch them through, because we didn't do anything fancy. I would just cut off the ends of the clips and keep going. Mm-hmm. So that was part of the routine that I had down. But now, because I'm trying to make these fancy edits with fancy cuts and just make it more standard YouTube or standard modern video, I'm spending, I spent 9 or 10 hours on our weekly video this week yesterday.
Yeah.
And I'll spend 3 or 4 today before it's over. I'm not doing that every day. So I basically didn't edit at all except for a few minutes the day before that. So it's not an hour every day. It's about 12 to 15 hours over the span of a couple days. So it's more time in that regard. And that's been interesting, because it has been since before we started this channel that I spent anywhere near that much time editing when I was doing professional work.
What's been kind of funny for me looking at it, it amazes me that I know how much we film. Mm-hmm. So even for just one of those videos, I know we've got several clips of video.
Are you talking about our weekly videos?
Yeah. So whenever we would do our daily videos, we do a certain amount of clips per Goodwill, certain amount of Goodwills, and we had like a certain amount of footage.
It always turned out to be about 40 clips to 80 clips a day.
Yeah.
On a light day, we both did about 20 clips a piece. On a heavy day, we do about 40 clips a piece. And these are 1 to 2 minute clips, right? And sometimes a lot less, 20-second clips. And that was what our daily looked like. So that's another thing that's changed right now. We're shooting way more clips. We're not spending as much time shooting. It's really confusing to explain. Honestly, it almost sounds contradictory coming out of my mouth, but like normally when we shoot our daily videos, I have 2 folders: Hannah clips, Dallas clips.
Yep.
And that's all we got. Now I've got Hannah GoPro day 1, Hannah GoPro day 2, Dallas GoPro day 1, right?
Yeah.
And then I've got B-roll.
Yeah.
And then I've got a folder where I compile clips from old videos for throwbacks of things we're missing.
Yeah.
And then I've got a folder full of screen recordings that we've recorded on our phones while we're at Goodwill's. And then so my edit folder is crazy through the roof during these weekly videos.
Well, yeah, and then you have, you've got a 10-minute drone footage thing that you got to chop up. And it's just like we have hours of video to go into one video.
Yeah.
Whereas before we had, about an hour or so worth of video that you just chopped up and then put into one video. So it's a lot more footage throughout the week, but now you have 1 week full of footage to put into one video.
I think I figured out a way to explain it clearly in my head, because on one hand we're saying we're not filming as much, and then on the other hand we're saying we have more footage. We're spending more time rolling the camera, but like when we would film our daily videos, it would be, we'd have to go to 4 or 5 thrift stores to hopefully find a couple good ones to make it worth going in the video. And by and large, we're not really doing that anymore. We're not spending as much time going and doing. We're still spending a lot of time rolling the camera.
Yeah.
You know, like we're driving around town to get doing something else that's not this weekly video. We're rolling B-roll footage to cram some pretty shots in next week's video.
Yeah.
So less time going doing, but when we are doing, we're rolling the cameras more. We're a little less stingy because I used to tell Hannah, okay, well, you know, I'm going to spend a little bit less time editing this week on our daily videos. So think about your clip before you roll it.
Yeah.
And I mean, let's just be honest. A lot of time, not all the time, but certainly plenty of time, depending on how in a hurry we were in a day, we'll go to the thrift store, look. And then if we don't see anything, we won't roll.
Right. Just go.
We'll just go. And then when we find something, we'll put it back on the shelf and go, okay, oh, look at what I found.
Right.
That's just honesty. That's what, when we were on that daily grind, what we had to do sometimes. We're not doing that anymore. We're just rolling.
Yeah.
Because I have the time to go home and sift through the footage now. So, you know, but this so far is just a conversation in editing and the practicality of doing what we're doing. There's a lot more depth to it that I want to get to. So do you have anything else to say just about editing and shooting before we kind of move on to the next topic?
No, I think we can move on.
It's a really important part because I think there's a good enough number of people that orbit our channel that either do some manner of YouTubing themselves or definitely have expressed interest in doing so directly to me or on our Discord, et cetera, et cetera. So, you know, it's a huge spectacle to some people how long we went daily posting, and some people that are in that orbit that want to do YouTube get scared because of how much work it can be. So I feel like it's worth it to go out of our way, as we just did, to really express what it took, exactly how much time it took, and that's a good look at what the daily looked like and now what the weekly looked like. But let's move away from the technical shooting time frame kind of stuff and just talk, like, I don't want to say mental health, but I will say mental health, because let me just put this simple. One of the most surprising things when we posted our first video that was like, sorry guys, we will no longer be doing daily videos. This is our last one. Of course, I made it pretty clickbait, as it said, "Is this the end?" ? And one of the most surprising reactions to that video was how many, let's say, hot takes we got in the, like, from comments and even messages directly to me on Instagram.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people with hot takes, and we were probably asking for it because I did clickbait the video. Is this the end?
Sure.
But I also, in the video, I made what should have been a 20-minute video 6 or 7 minutes.
Yeah.
I don't. Hannah can attest to this. There's a lot of ways in which I have went out of our way to not over-explain things on our channel.
Yeah.
Which is kind of funny because we do over-explain thrifting things all the time. I don't mean general stuff. I mean explaining ourselves too much.
Yeah.
I don't like it, you know, if there's an audio take in one of our videos that's a little rough, I don't put,
Sorry, the audio's bad.
sorry, this audio is really bad. If I say something wrong and I catch it in the edit, I will usually correct it. Like this week's video, I think I called the X-Men character the wrong thing. Like, but by and large, I just don't. There's a YouTube style in which part of the style is to overcorrect yourself in your videos, which usually, as a viewer, I'm talking about myself as a viewer right now rather than a content creator, it usually just feels like it's being done in fear of the comments to come.
Oh, for sure. Like, it's just this, oh gosh, don't at me about this. I know.
Right.
Like, can we just not address it?
For sure.
By addressing it beforehand.
Well, we've had lengthy discussions for years when things come up whether or not we should correct something on screen, and we usually just don't.
Yeah.
So, you know,
I think it bugs both of us whenever we see other people do that.
Yeah, and this may not bother you, but personally, this is just kind of how we are. And I'm thinking of, like, you know, a really popular video on our channel is this whole video about our antique malls, where we sat at this table and just talked about antique malls and made it an informational video, which is something we don't do.
Yeah.
Very rarely on the channel have you seen a review video or a how-to. Or it's just, we're a vlog. That's what we do. So that I remember that video, that always stands out because like we were wildly out of focus.
Oh, really?
For that whole video. This was a year plus ago, and you know it's kind of the same thing. And I did this whole edit where I was just like, I did this music title, sorry for the out of focus, and then I took it off because like it's probably just something in my brain that's broken. It's not like I like admitting that I did something wrong. It's just like what I know is that most of you are going to watch this on your cell phones, and there's a few of you with home theaters that watch. People have posted us on their home theaters at home on these giant 80+ inch screens.
Nobody
and projectors.
should look at my face that big.
Some people do, so obviously those people are going to be like, "This looks terrible." But by and large, in my head, it's just like I don't want to put things in the video to distract from the story. So that being said, what I'm talking about with our switch to weekly videos, I almost regret not taking the time to, for once in our lives, explain ourselves a little bit better. Because I could have made a more 20, 30-minute video just explaining exactly why we were switching to weekly and not. But a huge part of the reason I didn't was because I knew that a huge part of the plan for switching to weekly was to have more time for the other content we want to make.
Yeah.
Including this. So we have time to talk about it here today. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about, maybe you can start in what you if you can, in simple terms, kind of explain why you wanted to go weekly, what you perceive the YouTube realm's perception of us quitting daily was, if you can. If not, don't worry about it too much. But
yeah, I mean, I'll start with the first question, which is like why I really felt like it was a good change. I mean, we have other plans. We have bigger plans other than just we're making YouTube videos every single day on this one channel, and that's what our life is.
Right.
We have way more than that. You and I together, you and I separately, our goals are just a lot bigger.
They're a lot more complex than daily YouTube videos. That's it.
Yes, and they require time.
Yeah.
They require our dedication, our focus. One of the things being my YouTube channel eventually, and my custom Hannah Universe, my custom jeans that I make. Those are my two big projects that I have in my circle. And so in order for me to make a daily video and work on custom jeans, it doesn't give me a lot of room to focus on my channel. And
your jeans.
Yeah, exactly. So we felt that it was a good idea to just go ahead and start moving our channel in a direction where it will probably live for quite some time. We talked about whether or not we wanted to go back to daily eventually, but as of right now, that's not really the plan.
Yeah, well, it's not the plan for any time soon, but I'll talk a little bit more about that because there is a world where we could, but it requires some discussion.
Yeah, and so it felt like the right time. It felt like a good move to now move into having a little bit more space, a little more time to just focus on other things. So that's what I've been doing. I've been focusing on my custom orders so that I can get a little caught up and find a routine going and getting those finished so that I have some space to make my YouTube channel.
Right.
And as of right now, my focus is still on the custom jeans, and I'm getting to a point where that is at a manageable point. And then from there, the next step will be the channel, and very excited for that to come.
Okay.
Not explaining more in that video does leave for the is this the end video? So I'm moving on to the next question.
Okay, that's fine.
It did leave a lot of open for interpretation for people to have their own thoughts about what is our mindset.
Right.
And they're like, well, I think the biggest takeaway from what everybody was putting out there was that, oh, they're burnt out.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, that wasn't the case.
Right.
I mean, for me, I had the easier part of the YouTube channel. I just had to go to the thrift stores and hit record and then move on with my life.
Yeah, and I did everything else. I planned it. I picked the thrift stores. I edited it. So in that regard, your biggest constraint was time.
Yeah.
Which I want to talk more about again when I get around to it. But
yeah, so like I didn't really have to I didn't really have an opportunity to be burnt out because I didn't really have too much.
Because thrifting is not going to burn you out.
No, it's something I have to do anyway
Right.
for our reselling. Like, it's not a big deal. Like, it didn't, the daily video didn't really affect my day too much except for that time factor. So
Right.
I needed time. And so that was the best change about the going to weekly videos. So no, I wasn't burnt out. And I know we've had conversations about this, and you'll speak to how you felt about that a little bit more. But I know that wasn't the case. It was just, we needed some time.
Yeah. Well, so I think something I said in the video where we announced that we were going to weekly videos, I think I said something that, like, I'm not burnt out yet, but I could see myself approaching it. And I think me even mentioning in that video the potential of being burnt out made everyone go, oh, well, if I posted daily videos, I'd get burnt out. So he's burnt out. And it's frustrating because I don't know how to get into my side of this conversation without going down a deep, dark YouTube algorithm rabbit hole.
Yeah, it's so technical. Like how this little algorithm changes everybody's life
and
so much.
You hear YouTubers talk about it all the time, but not only is it real, the algorithm that decides what videos do and don't get watched, but then it's also a changing, ever-changing, sentient thing. And in short, let me explain this to you. There was a good stretch where YouTube rewarded us for posting daily videos.
Yeah.
It was clear there was a hunger for it. And in our YouTube space, which is this kind of thrifty resale, a little bit married with video games, in that corner of YouTube, it was clear there was an appetite for daily content. And financially speaking, we were rewarded for that daily content.
Yeah.
We were in higher price brackets for bids. When ad buyers buy bid to put ads on your videos, there are brackets at different prices you can be put into, and we were put in an exceptionally high bracket simply because so many of you guys actually had hunger for the daily content. But 6 or 7 months ago, maybe not quite that much, but basically right out of COVID, there was definitely some changes in the algorithm. And that's all coming off the back of the COPA ad changes that already happened, which I'm not going to get into. We can make a whole video on that. But it turned to a point where, in the same way that it was, we were no longer being rewarded in the same way. Yeah. So let's talk about this. There's a business aspect to what we're doing that we put in way higher regard, I think, than we verbally speak about on our channel. We're not just doing this to make money, but most of you understand, because you're human beings, we can't do this without making money.
Correct.
There was no way to post those daily videos without getting paid for it. So from a business standpoint, and from someone who is already used to working in a professional world where the kind of daily content I was cranking out was very similar to what I was getting paid to do for a living prior to us doing this. That being said, when we decided to do daily videos, that was a business decision. It wasn't a creative decision. It wasn't anything other than, if we do X number of these videos per whatever, does it add up to enough money to be worth it? And the answer was going to ultimately be yes, until it wasn't. So I'm not sitting here telling you that we stopped doing daily videos because we weren't making any money. Matter of fact, just again, in the interest of complete transparency, we were making a few $1,000s a month for our efforts. And now that we've switched to weekly, well, I have two things to say. It's a lot less. It's a little bit less than half, though, but which is actually turns out to be good, because if you just do the math, 7, 8 videos a week down to 1, it should be 7 or 8 times less, but it's not so far. It's been about half as less, simply because now we're posting our daily video, and instead of 3,000 or 4,000 views, they're climbing up to 8 to 10,000. Yeah. Which is phenomenal. And then that's also drawing in way more new viewers to watch our old content. So we're tracking around half of what we were doing, simply because so many new people are like, this video is good, I'm going to watch it. I'm going to watch 400 videos this week. So YouTube's algorithm is turned back towards the less is more kind of model. And matter of fact, as soon as we started posting our weekly videos, YouTube's analytic board was giving me these like, hey, it looks like you're getting less views right now, but it was like it was trying to console me. It was like, but it's okay because you're posting way less videos. We here at YouTube basically believe that less is more. So put quality over quantity.
Quality over quantity.
And that was another kind of one of the hot takes that people had when we posted that video, was that, well, yeah, your videos are getting stale, so definitely go for quality over quantity now.
Yeah.
And there's truth to that, because look at our last 4 videos. They're movies compared to infomercials.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean? I mean, just in comparison. I'm not trying to pat myself on my back with our content. I'm just saying compared.
It's a lot more of a story that like is compelling, rather than just, here is our clean cut out, like, I was gonna say algorithm, our model that we've just been doing day in and day out.
Right.
Like,
well, because I mean, you go all the way back to our earliest videos. Most of our videos ever, I'd say 7 to 8 out of 10 videos have always been 10 minutes of thrifting, 10 minutes of talking about it.
Yeah.
All the way through. There have been periods of time where we've went towards something different and back away, but it was really interesting because literally go read the comments. Well, not just that video, but our last few videos, and you'll see a really equal mix of exactly 2 things. There are people who are like, yeah, your videos were getting old, which, I mean, I said that in our video. They're starting to get a little bit old for me. But then there's also people who are like, well, of course some of your videos are repetitive. You go to the thrift store every day and take us with you. And so there's people that get the point. And I'm here to tell you, if the algorithm hadn't changed too much and it was going to continue on the trend that it was, if you go back 5 or 6 months ago, I'd probably still be posting daily videos right now and ultimately be fine with it.
Yeah. Because
it's a choice, it's a business decision, and there's not a lot of people in this sphere of our YouTube corner who are doing reliable daily content.
Yeah.
And I just thought, well, in a business sense, if you ever want good business advice, and this is very seldom of me to give you business advice, but find your thing and stick to your thing and be that guy. And that was us. We were that guy. We were that daily grind guy. So if you wanted to get on YouTube and find a daily grind thrifter, whatever we are,
you wanted to go to the thrift store every single day with somebody, that's who we were.
Yeah. And so that was just the service that we offered. And we're no longer doing it because it's no longer a thing. It can no longer be our thing because it just, what was happening in the last few weeks, I'd say the last maybe 2 months, is we were posting banger videos on Monday, highly produced. I was getting my creative juices out then. And then Tuesday through the rest of the week was just kind of our old formula. Thrift for 10 minutes, talk about it for 10 minutes to the end. And I was doing really good hitting that 20-minute mark on every video. And then Sunday live shows. And then we were spending the rest of the extra time that following that pattern at that point was giving us creating some Minecraft videos and just exploring some new stuff we wanted to do.
Yeah.
But what was happening was that Monday video was doing great because it was a great video, and our ride or die homies were still watching our regular videos. But by Sunday, each video trickled down to where it was like, Monday 7,000 views, and then just all the way down to like Sunday's video 2,500, 3,000.
Yeah.
And this is after a year ago, a little less than a year ago, we never got less than 5,000 or 6,000 views on a video. So the trend was just going down. And it wasn't because of the quality of the videos, the pattern. It was just, well, it arguably was a little, but it was because the algorithm has changed.
Yeah. And
it's also because of it's one half algorithm changes that we can see from our analytics, but there is also an aspect of like, and this is a good little bit of advice if you ever want to do YouTube. If you become a YouTuber and you look for success, now mind you, we're looking for success. You'll hear a lot of YouTubers that'll tell you they're just doing it for fun and there's not a lot of money in it for them, but it's just something they're doing. That's not necessarily not us, but we are equally concerned with making a living doing this. And frustratingly, there's an aspect of YouTube you have to understand where it's always going to be outrunning your losses with your gains.
Yeah.
You have to grow faster than you lose people. because the fact of the matter with YouTube is no matter how great you are or think you are or are not, whatever, people will watch you for a while and go away.
Sure.
And if you're watching and you're being honest, and I'll be honest with you, if you're honest, you'll admit that there have been 1,000 YouTubers. If you've watched a lot of YouTube for a lot of years now, there's plenty of people that you started watching and you stuck with, but there's plenty of people you come into the orbit of and then float away from, and sometimes you come back, sometimes you don't. So I don't know if you can speak to that, but I certainly can. My favorite YouTube channels, top favorites, Adam Savage is Tested, and they produce daily content, and sometimes more. And probably Linus Tech Tips is another good one, and they're someone that we kind of, in a lot of ways, model ourselves after. But just so much content, I'll binge watch a ton for months and then won't watch for months, and that's just how my viewing habits have been. So
yeah,
but there are also people that I've watched for ages that I just finally fell off and haven't watched again. You know,
for sure. I mean, I don't consume a ton of YouTube. That's not my main source of entertainment, but there are a few YouTube channels that I have and do watch. But like I'm definitely one of those types of people that like get obsessed with something and then I'm over it.
Right.
You know, I for a while was watching this girl Alexa Sunshine 83. Still like her videos, but just don't click on them anymore right now. Carrie Dayton was another one. She's very similar to Alexa. But right now I've been watching this girl Exo McKenna, and I'm in that obsession portion right now. She's renovating a 100-year-old cottage. And I'm just like, oh my God, when's her next video coming out?
Which
when?
is kind of where we are mentally anyways, trying to prepare ourselves for this home future, but not too far future home buying.
Yeah, for sure. And so it's like, I know that if I were someone that was watching our channel, I would get obsessed with it for a little bit. I would watch a ton. I'd be so excited about that daily content, and I'd watch every single video, but it'd probably peter out after
eventually.
about, a month, maybe 2.
Yeah. And I appreciate those people, because most of us are like that. And what's funny is most people that have orbited our channel, I feel like orbited is the proper word. I keep using it, I know, but like it fits both phonetically and with meaning. But plenty of people have come into our orbit, been varying degrees of obsessed or indifferent, and then have just disappeared. I can think of plenty of usernames of people that were around earlier on that either don't show up much anymore or just periodically drop in the Discord and say, hey, liked your newest video, know? But I also struggle with whether or not to even bring this up. There's also a very small portion of people, and I don't bring these up to talk about the negative aspects, but it's more funny. I enjoy the people the most who you can tell that they're just a little bit selfish and they came to this channel for something they want, and it's something we've either shifted away from or whatever.
Yeah.
And they have to burn the bridge before they go. I guess you could call it burning the bridge. And this happens like once a week where someone's just like, this channel's went to shit.
Yeah.
So I'm unsubscribing. And
it's like, well, you watched 7 videos and you wanted X thing. It's never happened. And you're like, this channel's awful.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just like, well, it's not what you wanted.
It happened early on for us a bit because our first 100 or so videos were me in video games. And then overnight, you were on and we were doing dishes. And so that was an early time where people were just like, I'd subscribe for video games. I don't want to hear about stupid dishes. Unsubscribe.
Okay.
And it's, people give themselves away so easily in the comment section of YouTube. I don't comment a ton on YouTube. If I do, it's usually like a friend YouTuber, and I'm just trying to deliver encouragement at the time I feel like it's needed, or sometimes there's a lot of people that drop by our Discord to share their blossoming channels. They're starting or something out, and I like to drop by and again offer words of encouragement if I can. But I've never once. I've had plenty of times I've watched YouTube channels and saw one of my favorite YouTubers go in a different direction and been scared that I was going to lose something. Like, here's a great example. We watched this young couple in Canada named Eamon and Beck. And if you've watched any of our quote-unquote van life videos where we've renovated our bread truck, and, when we were doing that, they were people we looked to for inspiration. So, I remember after COVID, they couldn't travel anymore in their van, and they bought a house, and we weren't at that point in this pre-home buying kind of mindset looking forward to that. And I remember just thinking, man, this thing I really like, this adventurous thing I like is gone. But like never once in my wildest dreams did I think about commenting, hey, I'm not going to watch for a while.
Right.
You know, because that was my intention then.
Yeah.
But I ended up luckily, I guess I would say, watching their first few home buying and rebuilding videos, and now we're hooked.
Yeah, that was an interesting transition. That was probably the first time that I had a YouTube channel experience where we were watching them for a specific reason, and then they changed.
They pivoted the other
their
way.
entire course, and we're just like, well, we like who they are as people, their personalities, their vibe. Like, let's give it a shot. You never know.
Right.
And then been really rewarded for it. So
it's happened with us. My memory is a funny thing, and we could make a whole podcast about the things I'm good at remembering and not. But I've been pretty good with usernames and people that frequent our channel, especially if they're on our Discord too. I have an extra length of memory to kind of hold on to that information. So pretty regularly we'll get to, like, we've already on our first video where we did a weekly different video rather than our daily videos, there was already one or two people who did the burning the bridge thing and were just like, well, I'm not gonna watch anymore if you're not posting daily.
Yeah.
I happen to remember usernames and cover photos pretty well, and
Oh, hey.
this week's video's up and they're just commenting like they always were. So that happens, but the point I'm trying to make is, like, I just, I don't know if it's YouTube's anonymity or if it's just crappy people, or a little bit of both. Because, like, would you do that in real life? Your friends change their habits, so you're like, oh, I'm out. You
got a haircut. I'm not talking to you anymore.
Yeah, that's what it feels like. Because there's no way we're going to continue to make videos for years on end as we currently intend to, and things not change semi-regularly. And the real OGs who have watched our channel for a long time know. I mean, there's been weird months where we pivoted and went the just complete other direction with our videos and did some real stupid stuff, both in the interest of keeping ourselves excited about what we're doing, but also just to... honestly, for me, and I've said this since day one, and you can attest to this, I try to leave wiggle room with enough frequency in time. And I try to change things up regularly enough so that new people don't get too comfortable.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And sometimes we fail because, like, another time we've gotten a lot of those I'm not watching any more comments is when we've taken, like, a break from going to the bins.
Yeah.
We do bins for 2 months straight, and we're tired of it. And here in Phoenix the weather changes and it's miserable to go, so we stop going when it's hot, and then once a week with our daily videos somebody's just like, stop talking about your games, I want bins. You know what I mean?
Like, well, you go when the bins is 120 degrees and the air conditioner's broken. Right.
So again, I know we're starting to borderline on just like complaining about stuff, but it is all rolled up into this conversation about we're doing YouTube, why we're doing it, and whether or not we're burnt out and what we're doing moving forward with it. Mm-hmm. So let's narrow in on this conversation here, because we talked about the technical aspect of it. We talked about how it feels. Mm-hmm. We talked about how it was perceived to feel to other people, but I want to talk even deeper about how I feel. I'll be honest with you. And it's almost dangerous for me to say this because this is something I'm thankful for, not a complaint, but you wouldn't believe the torrential downpour of messages in my Instagram begging us to go back to daily videos.
Yeah.
But so because of even that, I fear to say what I'm about to say. I do miss it.
Yeah.
And I feel very conflicted about it because I also believe we went about 4 months too long with our daily videos. Mm-hmm. It was about 4 months before we quit. I told you the first time that it was time. Mm-hmm. And we put it off. And to be honest with you, we put off quitting the daily videos for money.
Yep.
Because we were making a little bit more money. Not a lot. We're not sitting here rich at all, believe me, but we were making way more money than we ever had in our life because of these daily videos. Because we were doing our daily work anyways to make our income, and that YouTube money was extra.
Yeah.
And we were like, we just climbed to this height. How could we quit?
Yeah.
And
it was scary.
Yeah. But we had to. We absolutely had to, because YouTube, because to be honest, we need a little more. It's not enough. We want to quit some things we're doing and travel a little more. We're never going to stop thrifting because it's just who we are as people. But at the same time, like, what do we want to thrift for? Would you rather right now be thrifting to eat, or would you rather be thrifting to fill a new home you just bought with clever old stuff?
Oh, there's for sure the latter.
Right. And so we need YouTube to take care. We need YouTube to take a little bit more of that piece of pie, and the only way we're ever going to be able to do that is if the channel's just big enough to run to solicit ads.
Yeah.
And that was a huge reason to move towards weekly, because if I'm going to go to someone and say, hey, X amount of dollars for X amount of seconds of your product in my video, and they're going to go look at my YouTube page, which do you think looks better? 7 videos, picking 1 out of 7 videos that has 4,000 views, or 1 out of 1 video that has 10,000 views?
Right. Definitely the latter.
So, and this is just... Go find any other podcast or video on YouTube about YouTubers talking about why they do what they do, and you'll hear a lot of talk about how after various time frames inside of the YouTube world where ad revenue has come and gone because of changes in the YouTube algorithm, you'll hear a lot of people say, well, I made the choice at this point to replace all of my income with sponsorships. Mm-hmm. I keep saying ad buys or ads or whatever, but I mean sponsorships by product manufacturers, etc., and then let ad revenue be extra. You don't want to rely on the ad revenue. So we decided to go ahead and take that mentality now. The ad revenue from YouTube is nothing but extra money that we're happy to have when we get it, but from now on, we're going to make sure our income is solid in other ways, whether it be our reselling or in the very, very near future, sponsorships. And it's an interesting thing. I always struggle. I always think of things to talk about and then go, man, maybe I shouldn't. But I'll just say I've had some YouTuber friends, I'll put it that way, very recently start running ads on their videos because they've just grown big enough to do so. And it's the same thing. You can't spend a lot of time worrying about non-human beings that comment on YouTube videos. But I remember clicking on one buddy's video and looking and just scrolling through, nice and positive. This person has a very positive audience, just like we do. But of course, you get midway down, there's one dude who's just like, basically, you're doing sponsorships now. I already watched your ads. Unsubscribe.
Sell out.
Yeah, or just something like that. But like, I'm not worried about that. I'm never gonna not make money to solidify our future any more than my friend who I'm talking about is not going to make more money for his family.
Right.
But I'm actually really excited to get some sponsorships because two things. I've already worked in this advertising world for 100 years, it feels like now. So it's already my wheelhouse. I know how to advertise. I worked for marketing agencies. I've shot content. I've directed content for commercial agencies. It's what I know how to do. So I'm really excited to just here really soon get to this point where I can go to somebody and say, hey, I want to make an ad for you. Here's how I think I can not just put some boring ad in my video, and copy and paste the same ad once a week to get you to give me money. Here's some ideas, some clever and funny and entertaining ideas to get people to watch the ad. It's something I know how to do and get excited about. That's one. Two, in that regard, the second thing is I already made this point. It's just gonna be nice to have that. That kind of income is way more guaranteed than YouTube, the volatility of YouTube ad revenue ever can be. Yeah,
and the opportunities that it will provide for us to give back to the YouTube channel. If we have X number of dollars that we know is coming in, that we can go, okay, we need X amount for just like life, but then we have this extra bit right here. Let's go take a trip to Japan. Let's go do something really cool for the YouTube channel that you guys will think is amazing and you'll want to watch and be super excited about too.
Or if no other reason, it'll be awesome to watch because we'll have had more fun in the video than we've ever had in our life. We want to travel way more. We want to thrift for a house. We just have these much bigger plans that until we reach that level, it's not. But the final point on this portion of the talk is just that we're just so much closer to it from instantly switching to weekly videos than we were before.
Yeah.
Because, and again, just go look at our numbers. Our videos weren't passing up 3,000 to 4,000 views, and now all of a sudden one weekly video, and they're going higher and faster than they ever did. Our weekly video right now from the last one. Now, mind you, as of shooting this, we're tomorrow morning, basically, our next weekly video will go live as of shooting this, and our last one is at just shy of 8,000.
That's good
for a week. We have plenty of videos on our channel that are 8, 10, 12. Like, I think we've got some 13, 15,000 views videos that were popular in their time. But that many views in 1 week is unheard of on our channel.
Right. No, that would have been incredible.
Yeah. So that's, as of right now, if I were going to go look for sponsorships, that's what I could promise. I can promise you 10,000 views in a couple weeks. Yeah. That's where I'm at. And that was never going to happen with daily videos.
Yeah.
So I think it would be very easy to listen to this conversation Hannah and I are having and hear we did it for money.
Yeah.
And if that's what you want to hear, that's probably what you're going to hear just as much as I said we're tired of certain aspects of daily videos, so we're quitting. So you heard, oh, you're burnt out. I mean, yeah, there's a little bit of that in it, but it's not, we weren't burnt out. We were going to be if we were going to keep putting up this much work, and we were going to make less money up for it.
And I think I remember from the very beginning, you're like, hey, let's do a YouTube channel. You said, I want to be able to be flexible in it.
Yeah.
I want to shake things up every once in a while and make this thing just really fluid and do what I want with it and not
let's get
locked
weird
down.
is probably what I said. Let's get weird.
Let's get weird with it. And so we knew from the very beginning that growth was the main driving factor in our YouTube channel. Is like, we want to build a community of people. We want that community to be super positive and super connected with one another. So we got the Discord. We want this
link below.
We want this to grow and not just plateau and fizzle out.
And fizzle out, which I think if any of you have a sphere in which you orbit YouTube channels, I keep painting this kind of picture, but
I just see floating people around.
Yeah, well,
YouTube.
you bump into this video and watch a bunch, and then don't watch it, and then watch. That's what you do. You float around YouTube, and there's a symbiosis between you choosing what you want to watch and YouTube trying to cram things down your throat. It's a floaty, orby kind of thing.
Yeah.
And anyone who has floated in that YouTube orb has experienced what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So you have to learn how to float around that and find things to watch, and it's the same with doing it. You said, I told you at the beginning, and I did day one, I told you we got to keep it loose. We got to be not too dedicated to anything. So do you remember times, it's really good you brought this up, because do you remember times where like we had just posted too many thrift recap, that's it, videos in a row early on, where we just like maybe 20 days in a row, we just did exactly that. And I was like, we're about to get stuck.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I mean, the thing that makes me remember our changing it up so much is that time that you were like, I'm posting video game videos. I'm going to the thrift store, buying some video games, coming home, showing you what I got. And then you're like, let's not explain it. You just show up in the video.
Yeah.
Like, okay. And then just I was like, well, I don't know anything about video games. You're like, no, you don't get it. You just go thrift. Go
and film
do
yourself.
Your thing. And I was like, okay.
So there's literally 100 days worth of videos where it's me filming my hands in a thrift store and then voicing over with a nice mic, just like you hear here, and saying, and now I'm looking at the video games. And, it was literally on a Tuesday it was that, and then on a Wednesday it was
the two of us walking in with video cameras.
Separately and flipping back and forth, which a large portion of that has remained to today. But you're absolutely right. Overnight, we did that.
And just didn't explain it one bit.
Yeah, and then one day overnight, we started building a camper into our old van and traveling a crap ton more in it.
Yeah, and so it's like we started from this whole Dallas buying video games. We have 6 video games to our name. Now we have 3,000 plus.
Literally, we had 2 copies of Grand Theft Auto, one for each of us.
Little Big Planet for the PS3.
A couple of them. That's 4. And I maybe had like a PC copy of Left 4 Dead or something. Something goofy in one other game. And now, if you look to my right, you can see some just behind Hannah's head. That's my GameCube collection and my Inbox Sega collection, and then my 700 Wii games just to her right, your left. And this is all in the last couple years of videos.
Yeah, and then it went from you just buying video games by yourself, you going to the thrift store, coming back, talking about them, to like you also buying some toys and some action figures, and then you brought the camera into the thrift store with you, and then you brought me into the thrift store with you, and then
one
talked
day
about dishes and clothes.
And then one day we just had 3 antique malls.
Yeah, we're gonna do antique malls. We're gonna buy a van so we can travel and go thrifting. And it's just like,
now I have to make a point here that none of this stuff was as sporadic as it sounds. We didn't just one day go, let's go get 4 antique malls. We just we knew it was time to change, and we looked ahead, and we just thought, in the interest of being loosey-goosey people like we are very loose with what we do and decide. We're very, I don't know how to explain it because loosey-goosey sounds irresponsible, but we do plan things out, but we tend to, the way in which we finally implement things is it's like, let's wait, let's prepare, and then let's effing go.
Yeah.
And we've done that with our channel, and that's exactly how this change into now weekly videos went. We talked about it for 4 months.
Yeah.
4 whole months. And then we were finally like, I walked up to Hannah whenever that last video was posted, and I said, I'm going to go in the other room. I need you to be quiet because I'm going to go film this really heartfelt video to end our daily run.
I'm going to end the videos tomorrow. And I was like, all right. He said, well, I'm going to go record it. I'm like, okay, let me know what you need.
And it was very easy. I literally walked to the cameras exactly where it's at. I sat in a chair here, and I looked at the camera, and I did it all in one take. But I was able to do that because I had thought about it for 4 months. I knew what to say.
Yeah.
And a lot of things factored into my head, much like we've already talked about. I didn't want to over-explain myself. I just wanted to put a marker here. This is it. It's time for the change. And, so that's just where we were. So, we're about to go into this very heavy, not heavy, we're about to go into this time period where we're going to be very dedicated to the art form of the weekly video. It's probably going to take me about 10 videos to figure out what we're doing. Mm-hmm. We'll probably make a year or two's worth before we find our next huge endeavor, whether it be a house to change our channel towards that or something like that. And it's going to be interesting trying to figure it out because like last week's video was an hour and something minutes, not a lot, like an hour and 10 or something. And this week's video, which is as of shooting this, is going to go live. If you're watching this now, the video will already be, or well, it might not. This will go up first, but the next video for us to go up is like an hour and 24 minutes.
Oh, okay.
And I chopped that down from an hour 45.
Ooh.
So I'm not sitting here planning on making hour-long videos, but like, this video that we just shot was like this big experiment for us. We went to 20 Goodwills in one day, which just
wild.
Well, some people were going to hear that and be like, whoa. Some people were going to hear that and be like, I don't know, whatever, because like back in our yard sale days and plenty of yard sale people were going to understand this, you could go to 100 sometimes, especially if you got into community sales, but it's a little different with Goodwills because they're all 5, 10, 3 to 10 miles apart.
Mm-hmm. Lots of time in them. And
checking every section. So we just wanted to do that. So of course that video is going to be long. And next week's video, I doubt it should be so long. We've got something much more pointed and specific planned.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be surprised if these next several videos are hours long. But what's frustrating about this thing, to kind of bring this semi-full circle, to bring it semi-circle, YouTube is currently rewarding us up to the wazoo for the longer videos.
True.
Because such a large portion of our audience watches them.
Yeah.
All the way through.
Retention rate, y'all.
So that's a huge, retention rate is very important on YouTube. If more of you watch the video all the way through without stopping, YouTube factors that in some part to say, well, I will push it to more people.
Yeah, like, is this a quality video? People want to watch it.
Yeah. So the retention rate for our videos currently is through the roof. So it's hard not to do what YouTube's going to reward you for.
Right.
So I'm not going to leave the house for next week's video trying to shoot a longer video, but at the same time, when I realize we've got a lot of good footage for a lot of good content, I'm not going to come home and nervously chop it up. I'll let it be what it wants to be.
For sure.
But that's why an hour 45-minute video got chopped down to 127, because there is some fat that can get trimmed off.
Yeah.
I like the fat.
Ew.
Hannah won't
don't.
Hannah won't eat the fat on her steak.
Nope, I pull that stuff off.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm sure there's some other aspects of this we can talk about, and I'm sure as soon as this video goes live, you guys will have some stuff to say, and we'll probably just process again and have a conversation about this somewhere in the next few months to come. But I think it's probably important for me to put a little, not button, but a kind of a recap on this and say that, it's all complicated. And a huge part of me wanting to make this podcast was to serve as something to look to for a lot of people who either want to do YouTube or want to learn something about the kind of perseverance that it takes to do daily videos. And, I don't want to be an example for anybody, but I know for a fact that one of the greatest things I will ever have done when I look back in my life is be able to say I posted, what was the number, 760 daily videos or something like this. I very much so want to be able to point to that. So you will find me in this video giving more advice than I've ever given. We just don't do that a lot. So that's kind of the button I want to say. So a portion of this conversation we just had was just that, just me trying to paint the picture of what happened so that it's there, it's immortalized, and this video can come back to when it's time in the future to talk about our daily grind. But on the other hand, there's a lot of also feelings and other stuff packed in this conversation, right? So that stuff could very easily make the technical side of this conversation a little bit muddy, but I'm not that worried about it because it is necessary. So you guys let us know in the comments what you think, and like I said, we'll continue the conversation. And I'll go ahead and give you a preview probably of what that next conversation will look like. Because something else I thought about a ton in preparation for this video, because we decide about a week ahead what our podcast is going to be, and we have time to talk and think about it and to write some ideas down in our show doc. But Casey Neistat is a YouTuber.
Yes.
Who famously had a daily vlog and did 2 huge stretches. I think his first one was 800 videos, which I always wanted to match. But we quit a little bit shy of it, but he came back and did another 300 or 400 before he quit again. And I don't know, a lot of people have told us in their orbit of us that a lot of their consumption of our content is they go into their eBay room to price stuff for eBay. It takes them several hours a day, and they just click play on some Tendo videos and let them play. And that's really great, because I did that with Casey Neistat for a long time. When it was time to do work, it was time to do technical stuff, Casey Neistat's on, and I just went to work. So I understand that, but I learned a lot about what we're doing, especially since we started not terribly long after he quit. He then, if he ever found himself on anybody else's YouTube video, it was a podcast or something, he gets asked a lot of questions about his daily posting and stuff. And I learned some tremendous lessons listening to him talk about his daily grind, his daily posting, in a really profound way. Now, mind you, he did it on a scale that is several orders of magnitude larger than us. We're talking 10,000 subs, millions, millions and millions of subs and views. So it's, it's hard to compare it, but it is not hard to compare the work and the action. And so next time we talk about this, I'll probably have a lot more to say about Casey Neistat, because even just yesterday he was on Bert. What's that comedian's name? The guy without the shirt.
Yeah, I don't know.
I can't pronounce his last name. Bert Kreischer.
Oh, I thought his last name started with an H, so I would have been very wrong.
Yeah, he's the no-shirt comedian guy. Him and Tom Segura, or him and someone else did podcasts together. I didn't watch a ton. I think I'd watch them if they had some people on, or if their title was clickbait enough. But I think his buddy, who he does the podcast with, moved or something, so now he's doing his own podcast in his house, which is just kind of cool. But his first guest was Casey.
That's pretty cool.
It was. So I watched the whole thing last night without blinking, and it's just it reiterated the same thing. He had so much to say about his prolific daily posting and about the work ethic it took, what it did to him, what it changed in him mentally, that every time he spoke, I was like, you know what? There's a million people watching this podcast, and a lot of people are trying to understand what he's saying. And in a lot of regards, I am like the 1% who can physically and mentally relate.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, drop some comments, talk to us about, if you do any YouTube or any kind of creative endeavor that what we're talking about you might have some similarities to, some thoughts. Let's talk about it in the comments below, because we definitely will continue this conversation down the road, because as I just proved, just even bringing up Casey, there's a million more miles to go. Do you have any final thoughts on any of it? Because I'm going to stop recording and then you're going to go, oh, I thought of something I should have said.
Well, I think next time whenever we talk specifically more in depth about how daily videos were and, our feelings on them and everything, something that I found very interesting on our day-to-day basis was like how to fit the narrative of what our day is supposed to be to the YouTube channel versus what our day, our actual life is.
Real life is eat, work, sleep, but our YouTube videos, we were like, well, how do we communicate that in a compelling way?
Yeah, and okay, yes, we went to a thrift store today, but we also did laundry, and we, fed our cats and did the mundane things, and not...
Do those mundane things need to be put in the video, and if so, how do we make you care about something so useless?
Exactly. So there was a separation to, YouTube life
that's a
and
good
our
point.
Life.
Well, I'll write that down in our show doc. Next time we talk about this, we'll talk about our standpoints of storytelling, because we didn't talk about that much in this, and that is honestly a huge drive of why we do what we do. But as well as commenting below any thoughts you have on these matters, you can definitely comment below and suggest some titles for future podcasts. We have the next few kind of scripted out just so we have time to think about them coming up. But we're going to go back to our live show format on this channel a little bit really soon, and we're looking for any kind of topics and suggestions in that regard. But we appreciate you guys hanging out with us and watching this. We'll see you next time. Until then, peace out.